How far should you hit your driver? A common question that I've been asked for years. I'm not only going to answer this question, I'm also going to show you how you can improve your distance if you are not long enough for the standards we set out in today's video. And the last tip in today's video is a game changer. It's one no one ever talks about, but it's one of the crucial points of hitting the ball longer without you really trying to change huge amounts of things about your golf swing. If you like the information in today's video, hit the like button down below to let me know. Hit the subscribe button, it's free, so you don't miss out on the next great video. Also down in the description, there's a link to my free weekly newsletter where we get more into the weeds of the facts of golf tuition. Now through the video today, you are going to be confronted with some numbers and some graphs, which might feel a little bit too much. My advice is just to pause the video to take in the information. Yes, I'm going to break it down for you, but if you want to look at how far you should hit it for your ability, that's going to be included in today's video. But just pause to look at the graphs because they have everything you need to know. So how far should you hit your driver? We can think of this in two ways. Way number one is we can think of your handicap or index. So distance in relationship to your skill level is definitely the first way we should look at how far you should hit your driver. So let's start with a scratch golfer. They should be hitting it medium distance, 261 yards. And as you can see from the graph, one of the most interesting points is we do see a drop off in distance as we go up in index or handicap. So ability is definitely correlating to the distance you hit the ball. So you 5 handicappers, stroke indexes, depending on what you call it, should be hitting it 243 yards, 20 index 204 yards, and 25 index is just around that 200 yard mark. So what does this information mean to you? You've got to remember these are medium numbers per index or handicap, which means you're going to find some golfers that hit the ball longer than their handicap and some golfers that hit the ball shorter than their handicap. So they're really punching because there's many other skill sets, but you can see there is a real good correlation between ability and distance. So tip number one to help you understand your speeds and maybe some of the patterns that you might be using is basically with a driver is tee height. This is something I see over and over again. I'm actually doing a bigger study on this. Maybe post in the comments if you want to see the results of this, where I'm getting lots of everyday golfers to hit from different tee heights. And I'm seeing changes in how they deliver the club, which kind of sounds obvious, but then that in turn gives them changes how they deliver their body. It's really interesting. But the general rule of thumb that we do see from tee height is that the higher the tee gets, the faster the club moves. For most of the golfers I've seen through my little study at the moment, their regular tee height is not far off higher, but higher being a bit quicker, and the low tee height, they swing slower. So think about it. Not only do 3 different tee heights promote different shapes for lots of golfers, which is common, lower is going to fade, higher might kind of draw a little bit more, because I'm seeing it change club paths as well. Not only are we seeing speed changes, we also see another change which we're going to do in the final tip, which will just, this is a game-changing tip for getting more distance, one that you've probably not seen before. But what we do see from golfers who maybe come for a lesson with a standard tee height that's really low, complaining that they're on the shorter side of their index distance. So you look at that index distance and you're someone who's on the shorter side of your index, but you tee it really low, well that for one is something you should be playing very much with. Teaching for years, I've definitely seen golfers hit from very extreme tee heights with no idea of why they do it, and not knowing why you hit really high ones or really low ones with a driver could be really harming your game. Really simple drill. Practice 3 different tee heights next time you're out there hitting shots and just watch what happens to the different shapes of those shots. You are going to find that they hit different distances, different shapes, and to be fair, you can absolutely learn to use the skills that different tee heights bring and play those shots on the course. Start playing with tee height. Tip number 2, you've got to start playing with the tempo of your golf swing and in turn speed of your golf swing. What we see from amateurs, and we see this so often, is they take forever to make their swing compared to good players who are generally a bit quicker. They do it in less time. And we see a lot of time wasted in the takeaway. If you want to improve your distance, you want to move your speeds up to those higher hand or those lower handicappers, even though so if you're off 10 and you want a distance of a 5 handicapper, this is what they're doing. Forget low and slow. Low and slow just breeds poor timings and the speed's getting through the system at the wrong time. Next time you're at the range, what I want you to do is practice some real explosive takeaways. So as fast as you can. In fact, make your whole backswing as fast as you can. What you're going to find is this loads the system up in a way that will put different stresses on the system to allow the system to become stronger and used to those speeds. It will allow you to start understanding that actually a bit of speed and force through the club allows you to stop actually putting some of the crazy angles sometimes that you might put in, which can encourage better club pass. And what it will do at the end of the day is it will allow you to start increasing club head speed, which will allow you then to promote more distance. Now I hear you, the big pushback with this is, oh, I'm going to lose more shots, I'm going to hit more out of bounds, it feels really uncomfortable. And this is a common idea. As you do more and more with golfers with this, what you find is doesn't actually change, it stays pretty much the same, but their distance goes up. So explosive backswing, certainly when you're practicing, and you should be over practicing this. So at the range when you practice, as explosive as the backswing as you can make, hit a few shots, and then what you'll find is this will start bleeding onto everyday shots, allowing you to just edge your speeds up to get you into the higher brackets, allowing you hopefully to lower those scores. The second way we can think about this is ball speed. Like some of you don't have a handicap or index, you play socially, or you understand how fast the ball comes off the face and you want to know, well, if it comes off that fast, how far should it go? So for this, we're going to use this amazing chart created by the team at Ping Golf, and this is going to show you how really efficient, so kind of your maxing out distances should be played subject to your ball speed. So 100-mile-an-hour ball speed, you can see from the chart, you should be hitting it around 150 yards. Remember, that's top end. 120-mile-an-hour ball speed, that jumps up to 200 yards, 140, 250 yards, 160 up to that 300-yard point, obviously again top end, and 180 ball speed, like you see the guys touching and bursting through on telly, they're getting it up to 350 yards. And as you can see from this chart, it shows you the angle of attack. So that's the angle the club is coming in to hit the ball, hitting on the way up, all the way down. And if you're in the camp that everyone should spin it around 2,200 revs kind of spin, which is where lots of people are, you can see that's not actually true, subject to what you deliver if you want to max out your driving. Now, when we get to the game-changing tip at the end, you're going to see why this chart is so important. So let's make sure our stance is wide enough. See, too many golfers really narrow, just kind of weakly swaying off and onto the ball. We want a good wide stance. Let's make sure insides of our 2 feet are getting a little bit wider than our hips. It's going to allow us to actually make full turns, put some stretch in, and create speed without feeling like the system's going to fall down. As in, if I'm really narrow and I try and create this speed, I'm out of control. Good wide stance. Second point, let's stop reaching with the driver. So common. See golfers really stretch out with the driver. This encourages these kind of thrusts. Then here, and then another thrust this way to hit the ball, which is just so weak. With the driver, you want your hands under your chin. So the iron there a little bit more under your shoulders. There's a fraction reach, but you want your hands basically under your chin to make sure you get a bit more connected turn for better strikes. And then finally, I do like to get golfers revving up. Let's have some fast waggles. See how I'm moving the club and make them a little bit quicker. Let's really start to rev the engine up. See a lot of golfers do a few waggles, often this way, and then they kind of set and stop. Everything sinks, and then to start the system off, we see this kind of low and slow drag. So let's have some good revs. So really get some speed coming through the system in your forearms and hands and the club. So you're ready to try and explode into that shot. Boom! Get on. Hit that subscribe button yet. Remember to hit the like button if you're finding value in this video. Game-changing tip coming next. So here's the game changer. That was off a high tee, so the orange, which is kind of my good to slightly higher. Nearly 164 ball, 112 club, not bad, not particularly warmed up. But it's this I want you to look at, because this is crucial. What you can see from here is I'm hitting 5 up at that ball, high tee, so it makes me hit up more. Loads of you have seen the videos where if you hit up, you hit it longer than if you hit it down. There's some truth in that. That's why I gave you that tee height ideas at the start. But it's also not true, because what also happened here is I had 15, nearly 16 degrees of loft. So that makes my spin loft 11 degrees. meaning it launches at 13 and spins around 2.5. So bear with me, lots of numbers going around, but just bear with me with this. So from this low blue tee, oh, I finned it a little bit. You see it cutting like we talked about outside. I'm now hitting with nearly 13 degrees of loft and 2 up. Spin loft around 11. It launched low because I caught it on the bottom. It spun more 2.8 because I caught it on the bottom. But it would have been a similar functioning shot to the high tee. But this isn't what we see amateur golfers do time and time again. They don't control the loft when they do start moving the angle of attack. And this is why we see amateurs not go any further when they use all the advice. Mark says tee it up, you swing faster. Other outlets say that. Mark says hitting up at the ball gives you more chance of hitting it longer than hitting down. Every other person has said that. You've seen it time and time again. But what happens if I hit up, but at the same time, I add loads of loft? Hit up 6, hitting loft nearly 19. Spin loft has changed. It's now way higher, meaning the spin goes up. I'm just basically going to launch it up higher if I strike it in the same spot with more spin. So I've hit up, I've teed it up higher like everyone says and like I'm telling you, but it's going shorter. It's because you've got to be able to control the loft you deliver while changing the angle of attack. That is the game changer. And this is what I want you to practice. Get the ball on your higher tee. I want you to get down into last parallel. So your hands are level almost with trail 5, club parallel to the groundish. So set yourself up with a driver. Just move into last parallel. Make sure you shift still with your weight. Try and make your back or your downswing of your body relatively realistic. We want to make sure you're in ulnar, meaning the wrist is bending slightly down this way. Don't want you holding on to angles at this point. We want these angles out because we want the club bottoming out here, because I do want you hitting up at it. Now the next thing I want you to do is just put some tumble in that wrist, flatten it off with lead hand, see what it does to the face. Now with the ulnar in here, what you're going to try and do, just with this swing, is hit up while trying to keep that lead wrist relatively flat and just kind of top spin it out there like a little pitch shot, carrying like 180 yards, whatever it is. That one I've hit 7 up with a loft of around 8, spin loft as 1, launching at 16 but with no spin. So I'm extremely exaggerating it the other way to take the spin loft right down, because the general pattern I see from golfers is you can get them to change angle of attack but they have no idea of loft and how that then relates to angle of attack, and they make no difference. All they do is they move everything up or they move everything down, loft and angle of attack. You've got to be able to separate them. I want you to be able to make angle of attack up, higher tee, feel like you're getting up through lead side, all those kind of ideas, but at the same time control loft to keep it down. That's where you shift up in distance massively. So understanding that getting the angles out is going to help you hit up more. Holding onto angles is just going to make you crash down on the ball. Understanding that how you use your wrists and the face could change the loft rather than thinking about it as open and closed is going to be the key to you really starting to manipulate what we call spin loft. Let me try one in a full shot to extreme it. So you might find it changes direction. When I do this with people who slice the ball, they start drawing it. See, I overhook it and they're like, oh my word, I've never done that. They're not thinking of coming this way or this way. The angles that they create or get rid of, get that angle out in the wrist, flatten that wrist off while trying to hit up, almost like they feel like they're in kind of a topspin dipper, changes everything. Look at the spin, 1.6. So I've gone 6 up with a spin loft of 14. So it's gone from 11 down to what's that, 8? It's just hugely different. So me being able to control the loft delivered as I move the angle of attack is the game changer. So many of you do play with angle of attack. You watch the videos, you change the tee height, but you neglect loft, which is going to come from those wrist angles, going this way more and flattening that wrist off. If you do these two things, this is where the tee height, the faster waggles, the wider stance, the hitting up of the ball rather than down, all start to fall in place to give you bombs. Oh yes. 4 up, 14 loft, 2 free spin. That's where with my ball speed, I am getting some of my best numbers. Maximising what you put in, understanding loft is the game changer for making sure everything in this video applies. If you've liked the information in this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want more free videos. Hit the like button, let me know, I'd love to know. Please hit that like button, helps out. If you want to find out more about your driver swing, watch this video. It's really helping golfers understand the structure of their driver swing.